A catastrophic magnitude 7.0 MW earthquake struck Haiti at 16:53 local time on Tuesday, the 12th of January 2010. The epicenter was near the town of Léogâne, Ouest Department, approximately 25 kilometers west of Port-au-Prince, Haiti's capital. By the 24th of January, at least 52 aftershocks measuring 4.5 or greater had been recorded. An estimated 3 million people were affected by the quake. Death toll estimates range from 100,000 to about 160,000 to Haitian government figures from 220,000 to 316,000. Although these latter figures are a matter of some dispute, the government of Haiti estimated that 250,000 residences and 30,000 commercial buildings had collapsed or were severely damaged. The nation's history of national debt, prejudicial trade policies by other countries, and foreign intervention into national affairs contributed to the existing poverty and poor housing conditions that increased the death toll from the disaster. The earthquake caused major damage in Port-au-Prince, Jacmel and other cities in the region. Notable landmark buildings were significantly damaged or destroyed, including the Presidential Palace, the National Assembly Building, the Port-au-Prince Cathedral, and the main jail. Among those killed were Archbishop of Port-au-Prince Joseph Serge Emioti and opposition leader Misha Gaillard. The headquarters of the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti, located in the capital, collapsed, killing many, including the mission's chief, Hedi Anabi. Many countries responded to appeals for humanitarian aid, pledging funds and dispatching rescue and medical teams, engineers and support personnel. The most watched telethon in history aired on the 22nd of January. Called Hope for Haiti Now, raising $58 million United States dollars by the next day. Communication systems, air, land, and sea transport facilities, hospitals, and electrical networks had been damaged by the earthquake, which hampered rescue and aid efforts. Confusion over who was in charge, air traffic congestion, and problems with prioritizing flights further complicated early relief work. Port-au-Prince's morgues were overwhelmed with tens of thousands of bodies. These had to be buried in mass graves. As rescues tailed off, supplies, medical care and sanitation became priorities. Delays in aid distribution led to angry appeals from aid workers and survivors, and looting and sporadic violence were observed. On the 22nd of January, the United Nations noted that the emergency phase of the relief operation was drawing to a close. And on the following day, the Haitian government officially called off the search for survivors. The island of Hispaniola, shared by Haiti and the Dominican Republic, is seismically active and has a history of destructive earthquakes. During Haiti's time as a French colony, earthquakes were recorded by French historian Moreau de Sainte-Marie. He described damage done by an earthquake in 1751, writing that only one masonry building had not collapsed in Port-au-Prince. He also wrote that the whole city collapsed in the 1770 Port-au-Prince earthquake. Cap Haitien, other towns in the north of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and the Sans Souci Palace were destroyed during an earthquake on the 7th of May 1842. A magnitude 8.0 earthquake struck the Dominican Republic and shook Haiti on the 4th of August 1946, producing a tsunami that killed 1,790 people and injured many others. Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere and is ranked 149th of 182 countries on the Human Development Index. The Australian government's travel advisory site had previously expressed concerns that Haitian emergency services would be unable to cope in the event of a major disaster, and the country is considered economically vulnerable by the Food and Agriculture Organization. Haiti is no stranger to natural disasters. In addition to earthquakes, it has been struck frequently by tropical cyclones, which have caused flooding and widespread damage. The most recent cyclones to hit the island before the earthquake were Tropical Storm Faye and Hurricanes Gustav, Hanna and Ike, all in the summer of 2008, causing nearly 800 deaths. The magnitude 7.0 MW earthquake occurred inland, On the 12th of January 2010 at 16:53 on blind thrust faults associated with the Enriqueo Plantain Garden fault system and lasted less than 30 seconds. There is no evidence of surface rupture. Based on seismological, geological and ground deformation data, it is also thought that the earthquake did not involve significant lateral slip on the main Enriqueo fault. Strong shaking associated with intensity IX on the modified Mercalli scale. Venezuela. According to estimates from the U.S. Geological Survey, approximately 3.5 million people lived in the area that experienced shaking intensity of 7 to X, a range that can cause moderate to very heavy damage even to earthquake-resistant structures. Shaking damage was more severe than for other quakes of similar magnitude due to the quake's shallow depth. The quake occurred